We are live, Miss Jennifer Love, my dear, dear, dear friend, fellow Irish heart, passionate, kind, generous, all in woman of contribution. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. What a day you have had. I haven't even introduced you yet. I'm just going to do that for a second. Tina O here from Tina O Life on my personal page with Jennifer Love, the voice, the founder, the creator of the Nature of Money show. We are going to spend a little bit of time. It is Words Wednesday. And we've put this on the backdrop, even though it's Words Wednesday, we put it on the backdrop of the nature of money because Jennifer Love has launched her podcast today called The Nature of Money. And we want you to go and check it out and listen to it and rate it and review it and send us a DM about it so we can stick your name in a draw. But we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about your work and your story. And I just like, wow, today's your launch and we've had a massive day. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm in awe. I'm in awe, and what I'm really present to is the support that is so abundant around me. What I'm present to is my calling and the story that's having me. The story is having me, and it's like I just keep saying yes to it. I just keep surrendering into it. And there are some edgy moments in that.
Yeah.
There are some really edgy moments. Today as we launched the show, Apple Podcast decided to have a little hiccup. Well, let's say a big hiccup. and so, I am just riding the waves of surrender today. And letting and trusting and surrendering into the trust of like, wow, like this story, my story, but this story, what I'm really saying is this story about money has so much resistance in the world. We are so uncomfortable in this story because it brings up such an edge for us in our own sense of being valuable, being useful, being deserving, being worthy, being enough. And boy, do I know it. It's been my own story. It's not like I've got it all figured out, but I have transmuted through my story and continue to. And you're witnessing that, right? And so just I'm so present to the resistance and also the desire for this conversation or this story. Yeah.
Okay, so on Words Wednesday, we talk about writing and we talk about story and we talk about the process of what it's like to bring our work out into the world. And you just use the word desire. And I wonder if you'd be willing to share a little bit about your desire to bring this forth, because I mean, we met about 3 years ago as you were in transition from one part of your career and you really felt called to do this. I wonder if you can speak a little bit about desire and just that transition and what that was like for you.
Yeah, well, desire to me is an attachment. It's an emotional attachment, right? It's an emotional state. It's not an emotion itself, but it's an emotional state. And yeah, my desire is my own financial, but also personal power. My desire is my own my own freedom, whether that is personal freedom and financial freedom. But my desire is also not just for myself, but my desire is for us all. Because when I think about us living in a place of being financially in our power, right? Or financially in a state of freedom in ourselves. And if we're all in relationship doing that, what is possible in the world from, I mean, the vision I hold of that.
Mm.
The vision I hold of that is deep in my soul.
Yeah.
And so where I have chosen to start in that desire is in a place of surrender, of putting down the things that I needed to put down
Mm.
so that I could make space for, so that I could say yes to this path. And also starting from the place of saying, yeah, my work is with global leaders and helping them experience that financial power, that financial freedom for themselves and their own story.
Yeah, and you didn't take on a small subject.
Not so much. But it wasn't like I took it on, it kind of took me on. It
Yes.
was like, you. And I was like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, you're the one.
Okay. Really? Okay. That's pretty much how that went down.
You want me to talk about money?
Are you sure?
What? I say that because money, I think sometimes, at least in the conversations I've been around, our unpacking of money is very simplistic. It's either good or bad. It's the root of all evil, or it's just energy, and what we attach to it is, our own story. And it never seems to get any deeper than that. It doesn't ever seem to get any more personal than that. There's never seems to be any more nuance to that. And that's not the game you're in. Like, you're in the game of our personal story with money. And I love the piece that you just said that I want us to see if we can go here. Because, in my wheelhouse, everyone that follows me knows that I work with people who are called. Like, that's what I do, because to me, you're not crazy. Like, my phone rings and people go, I think I'm going crazy, but I think I want to blah, blah, blah. Right. I'm like, you're not crazy. You're called. Let's go. Right. The bigger, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said something about freedom. And the way I interpret that from a core story place is like, when you're so aligned with what you do, and you're so you use the word sovereignty in Clubhouse a little bit. When we're in our sovereignty of being, and then we are then living the sovereignty of our doing, it doesn't matter how fucking hard it is. We're free. And I wonder if there's anything you can speak to around fear of saying yes to the call, anything that you want to say about that, because you launched today, like, it's out now. What can you share with us about fear
Oh,
and
man.
saying yes?
Yeah. Yeah. So much of my own story in my relationship with money, which you can catch on the show. It's episode 1. So I won't go into that right now, but so much of my story was about not enoughness, right? And how my not enoughness began to express out in this achiever version of myself as being a top strength. But it's this idea, then it started to morph into this idea of what I thought I was supposed to be, what I thought I was supposed to do. And oh my goodness, are so many of us leaders doing that?
Right.
Right. And so the fear was really in the letting go of that. It was, the fear isn't so much of the unknown.
Okay.
The fear is actually of releasing what we know. and stepping into the unknown. It's something we can't really actually technically fear something we don't know. But we can fear the even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not serving us, even if it's hindering us, we can fear the letting go of what's known. And that for me was where my fear was. It was in that surrender of what's known. And literally to, part of the work that I was doing several years ago was like all these videos and, TV and la la la. And I was like, nope. When the call came, what came with the call was put it all down. And I was like, say what? This is what I was born to do. What do you mean put it down? It's like, put it down. And I was afraid of that for a moment, for a moment. But I again, it's like stepping into the surrender, stepping into the trust of like, there's something greater here that's calling me. I can feel it. I know it. It's true. It's a full body yes, and I will put that down and I will transmute through that fear to become fearless. And in the surrender, say, okay, this idea that I had of who I needed to be or who I was supposed to be. And Tina, I keep having to put it down. It's not like it's like,
Yeah.
it's a practice. I'm in practice of that so that I can move into a space of embodiment with that. I'm very much in process of that right now,
Yeah.
you know? And that's my truth. And so the fear for me was in the trusting of the call and the trusting of myself and of the putting down what was known and the idea of what I thought I was supposed to be.
Wow. I wanna take that to your work in the world. Is there an element of putting it down, like our knowing about money?
Mm. Mhm. That
Mm.
feels like a really juicy question. I'm not sure anyone's ever asked it to me like that.
And that's why I do what I do.
I know. I'm like, "Oh, that's so good." Yeah, there absolutely is.
Right.
That's part of that money metamorphosis.
Yeah.
And, in unpacking the things in our life that we're holding on to because of the ideas or the emotions or, um, the block in our calling or the behaviors that we have that are hindering us, right? The putting down of those things so that we can transmute it, so that we can get those rocks out of the soil that are blocking our ability to actually flourish and grow and make healthy decisions, be
Mm.
in healthy emotional relationships so that we're not being driven by the fear financially, right? Because, oh my goodness, if you're making a decision about money from a place of fear, like literally take yourself there for a moment. Put yourself into a fear state for a moment and think about making a decision about money from that space.
Yeah.
Are you making a decision about money from a healthy place? No, right? So when we do that, we're we're really impeding our ability to flourish in a wholesome way. We might get lucky here or there, right?
Right.
We
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
we don't yeah, that can happen. But as a sustainable way of living and being in relationship with money, we need to be putting things down. The things that are hindering us, the things that are creating the upper limits in us,
Mhm.
right? The things that are literally blocking us from being able to go deep inside of ourselves that are killing our root system of our soul, of
Hmm.
our emotions, right? If we aren't allowing ourselves to examine what's happening in our emotionality, our fear, our anger, our sadness, our grief, like all these things, it's like this. We
Right.
can only get so far. It's also, I kind of describe it's like walking around with like missing an arm and a leg. Like we're only functioning with a part of ourself.
Mhm.
And so we've got to put down the unwillingness to look
Oof.
and start getting real. Start opening our eyes and looking at ourselves and being real in that look, in that, and be real and fearless, transmuting that fear into fearlessness to go on the adventure of our life into our own self, our own human mastery. Yeah.
It's like we're having a master class in humanness, but we're getting there through the conversation of money.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Yes.
Because there's nothing like a conversation of money to bring up all the stuff that keeps us from our humanness.
Yes.
Mm.
Money is a channel, right? Money is an access point into what's really happening here.
Mhm.
And what's happening here in relationship to over here, like how we're relating, how we're exchanging, how we're being in the world.
Mhm.
Are we living in a prison inside ourselves? Are we a slave to our own story? Are we a slave to our repressed emotions? Or are we going to say, you know what? I'm going to fearlessly step in. I'm going to put down. I'm going to let go of,
Mhm.
turn and look at my humanness. Because congratulations, we're all human.
Right?
And we
Yeah.
all have rocks and boulders and things that are hindering us. We all do.
Yeah.
And those who are pretending anything other than that are just lying.
Yeah. I love the conversation about fear. And I love the conversation about the other side of fear, certainly around money. And what I mean by that is when we make a decision from fear, we know it's clouded. And I know in my own story for a good 12 years when I was in a highly successful business I used to call it making gangsta money.
Hmm.
I was on the other side of it. And which was, I'm just going to choose possibility. I'm just going to choose possibility. I'm just going to choose possibility. Like on the other side of fear was just blind, blind faith, which for me really actually caused the demise
Mhm.
of my business.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you can speak to, because what I'm hearing in what you're saying is in the healthy relationship with money. There's something that we're missing when we just go to joy, and I'm not trying to dismiss joy. Like that's
Yeah.
a to climb out of a place, but can you speak a little bit to that, or am I
Yeah.
on to something?
Oh, you're so on something. That skipping over what is to
Mm,
access something that we're trying to attach to, a possibility, right?
okay.
That's called bypassing. That's bypassing. We hear spiritual bypassing, but what you just described is emotional bypassing. And
Mm,
when we bypass any part of ourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, I mean, you can kind of live there, kind of. You can kind of,
yeah.
you can kind of exist. You can kind of survive there, but you're not going to thrive there, right?
Mhm.
And so it's not that joy, or I mean, I am all about possibility
Yeah.
because and to me, to get to a place of possibility or play, we like the play zone is where we feel safe, right? And so to me, play is a gateway to safety, right? But we can't ignore that if the tiger is chasing us,
Yes.
we're not going to just ignore the tiger and then just go play,
Right.
right? We
Yeah.
need to actually address that. Oh, hey, the tiger is chasing me.
Right.
Now, physically in our life, the tiger isn't chasing us, but the tiger is the story or the
Mhm.
unprocessed emotionality that is chasing you.
I hear you. Right. So when we're having experience of fear, even though there's no tiger, whatever is causing that experience of fear is the piece that
Yeah.
needs to be heard, listened to, honored, right? Is that where you're going?
That's exactly right. So that we can save ourself internally, so that we can access true play, true possibility, true manifestation. Because from that place, we're bringing our whole self to the table, not a part of ourself. It's really hard to manifest with just a part of ourself. It's not really sustainable.
Wow, I wanna write that down. It's really hard to manifest through just part of ourselves. Wow. I love that so much. Um, I could talk to you for hours, um, but you've had a really long day, and I want people to be able to go to the podcast and go do what they need to do. I just wanna finish with what I love about what you just offered us here is you invited us into what money therapy is all about.
Mhm.
And it really I'm hearing it is the process of being honest and honoring all the root systems, all the scar tissue, all the stuff between you and being free. If we can be free in our lives through therapy, we can be free in our financial lives through money therapy. So thank you for that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you for that definition. People ask me, I might borrow that.
oh yeah, we'll just record it. We've got it here. Transcribe it, pop it over. And so what we're inviting everyone to do today, this is on Words Wednesday on Tina O Life here. This is my dear friend Jennifer Love, fellow Irish passionate firewoman. Um, and her work matters greatly to me, to my heart, because I work with people who feel called, because that calling is to me is directly connected to the core of our being, which is directly connected to the core of all of our beings. And if we just lived our core call, and a call can be baking bread, that's good. But,
Mhm.
and when we live our core call, to me, that's actually how we heal anything that's broken, because everything else is just filler and in the way. Just the call, just live the call. So
Yeah.
on that, part of how Jennifer's call is living in the world for access for all of us is in your new show, The Nature of Money. 6 episodes have dropped.
Mhm.
You can find it in a couple of places. Definitely go to Apple Podcasts and look up The Nature of Money. You will find it. If you have any issues with it, go to her website at jenniferlove.com, hit studio, and you'll see all the other places that you will find it. Now you're doing a giveaway, and this is on till Saturday, right? Do you want to share a little bit about that before we close off?
Yeah. So for those who want to participate, play in this space with me and us, well, if you subscribe to the show, if you rate it and then review it and take a screenshot of your review, send me or Tina a direct message with that image, and you'll be entered into the contest to win a brand new iPad, some a 30-day supply of chocolate, some apothecary gift sets from me. And so, yeah, there's a chance to not only benefit from this conversation and be a part of it weekly on Clubhouse on Fridays, but to also win a fun prize as part of our celebration and launch here together.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for tuning in. You know, I pop in here on Mondays for Mystery Monday and Wednesdays for Words Wednesday. Jennifer, I love you. I love your work. I'm so freaking proud of you. It's been a big day, and we have so much more good work to do over our time together.
Yes, we do. I love you, appreciate you, adore you. Thank you for showing up in the way you have, so big and holding today. Thank
Mm, my pleasure.
you. Mwah.
Mwah.